As the conflict between the United Nations Space Command and the Covenant progressed, humanity faltered, spending the last decades in a losing war. The war was declared as a holy one by the Covenant, seeing humanity as a direct threat to their society and religion. Mankind was directly related to the Forerunners, a race whose empire, known as the Ecumene, spread across 3 million worlds in the Milky Way galaxy. Being directly related to the Forerunners, humanity themselves are one of many relics of the Ecumene. This posed a danger to Covenant society, who launched a genocidal campaign to wipe the human race from the stars. Many human colonies fell during the war. Before the start of the Human-Covenant War, humanity controlled 800 colonies, which dropped rapidly as the war progressed. Planets such as Verge, Reach, and even Earth itself were invaded and glassed by the Covenant. The planet of Tribute was no different, and on July 24th, 2552, the battle for Tribute commenced. Human settlements in the Epsilon Eridani system were being attacked by the Covenant, which led to the discovery of Reach and Tribute, the two most notable colonies in the system. Tribute was invaded on the same day the fall of Reach began. As civilian refugees evacuated Tribute, over 90% of the UNSC Navy escort fleet was destroyed after they attempted to protect the civilian flotilla from the advancing Covenant fleet. As the Covenant blockaded Tribute, the Spartan II team, known as Team Black, was sent to the human colony Verge in order to destroy a beacon. This beacon supplied the Covenant ships with helium, which was used as fuel within the vessel's reactors. The Covenant's ground forces landed in Tribute but were met with human resistance. Despite this, the Covenant had control over the skies and space of Tribute, and the UNSC couldn't do much to save the planet. During the Battle of Casbah, which was named for the city in which it took place, numerous conflicts occurred between the forces of the UNSC and the Covenant within Tribute's capital. During one of the final engagements of the city, Spartan III and Spartan II fire team engaged a massive Covenant assault force. One of these Spartan teams stayed behind, ensuring that the remaining civilians could escape the colony. While their mission was successful, they were ultimately killed during the combat. In the final days of the battle for Tribute, the Covenant's high prophets of Truth and Regret began to consolidate their loyal forces after the discovery of Installation 04. The remaining Covenant ships in the orbit of Tribute targeted humanity's forces when possible, but they did so without much interest. They waited for new orders and began to move ships in preparation to glass the defenseless Tribute. The Covenant fleet partially glassed the planet, but it was interrupted with the commencing of the Great Schism. Covenant forces began to turn on each other, ignoring humans on Tribute. The Covenant Civil War resulted in the destruction of most Covenant ships over the planet, and the humans on Tribute looked on with confusion. Tribute's fall was considered to be one of the major tragedies during the Human-Covenant War, having a huge economic toll for humanity during the post-war era. The planet was partially glassed during the war, however it was returned to a habitable state as survivors rallied to the planet's eventual reclamation and rebuilding. Major cities of the planet were destroyed, but many of its industrial sites were left unscathed. During the battle, over half of Tribute's population was killed, but Earth wasn't able to send immediate assistance to the planet's recovery, having to deal with its own recovery in the Sol system following the Covenant's invasion. Enough infrastructure was intact on Tribute to let the planet's survivors begin rebuilding the planet's once powerful economy and ecology. Many of the Covenant remnants remained on the planet, which were hostile to humanity's forces. However, they were eventually hunted down. During the battle, the Covenant's SDV-class heavy corvette Supplication of Fury was destroyed, crash landing on Tribute mostly intact. The ship would be recovered by humanity and later used as a part of an exhibit at Outpost Discovery. In 2558, the UNSC Infinity's Spartan IV team used a simulation of the Casbah Theater for their War Games training to honor the sacrifice of the Spartan III team who died defending the city. battle for tribute was one of many conflicts within the Human Covenant War, as humanity fought for its right to exist among the stars. Its successful prevention of its extinction was a lucky one. Following the introduction of the Flood into the war and the eruption of the Covenant Civil War, humanity was devastated. However, it still remains a formidable force within the galaxy, and its technology advancing at a rapid pace due to them utilizing Forerunner and Covenant technology that was left over after the war. A new era dawned on humanity, a time of restoration and a time of exploration.